It's your girl, Michelle D.I., Mrs. Divine Intervention herself. To all my helper bees out there, you know who you are. Those that are always helping everyone else and neglecting yourself. Yes, boo, look in the mirror. I'm talking to you. Here to let you know God has not forgotten about you. I've been sent on divine assignment. It's time for Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. That means 30 minutes for your mind, your body, spirit, and emotions. And don't act like you don't have time. You have time for everyone and everything else. Sit back and relax because if you're here, that means this show is for you or it's for someone you know. But most likely, it's for both of y'all. Deep breaths, love. Let's go. Let me go down to your weight. Your weight and everything is really indicated by how tall you are. Your body mass index, of course, again, we're not going to go by that, but your how tall you are. And then I always say, how do you feel? How are you feeling in your clothes? For me, with my weight, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is what things are affecting your weight, your mood, your mindset, how you're feeling about yourself, the things that you are going through at that period of time when you are overweight. What is happening in your life or what has happened? And one of the biggest things that I realized with my weight is this is really personal, y'all, but I want to talk about it because it's important. I was violated in my early 20s, and I used to be very, very small. And I realized later on that my weight was because I was violated and I was putting on this weight because I didn't want anyone to be able to toss me around the room as this man had tossed me around the room. And this is one of the things that is an uncomfortable conversation, but it is a necessary conversation for you to understand maybe why you have the weight on that you have on and looking at when did you start developing the weight. Why is it that you've been on a diet and been off a diet and been on a diet and been off a diet and you lose the weight, you come down, you go back up and you come down? I have um, been on many, many, many diets, been big and been small, been big and been small. And one of the things that I realized, of course, I went to this conference. Um, I'll say back in 2017, 2015, 2016. I'm sorry. Went to this conference and it was a stuck conference. One of the girls here locally had it. And I'm there and they were asking about the weight and, oh, what are some things that you're stuck in, right? They were asking, what are some things that you're stuck in? And I said, my weight, of course, was one of them. When I looked at, they said, why and how long has it been and all of that. And when I looked at how long it had been, 20 some years. Guys, the one thing about it is that I never talked about what happened that day. I never talked to anyone about, how I was feeling or what I was feeling. Again, it is the helper bees and us out there that are suffering and not acknowledging these things that have happened to us, right? And so what I realized is that I just went on. I was in nursing school. My baby girl at that time was, uh, 2, 3 years old. I got to go to school. I got to study for this test. I don't have time to think about that. I got to take care of this girl, right? And so that is what we do in our lives, and we neglect ourselves. We neglect ourselves to the point, and we don't realize why we're neglecting ourselves, right? And so that's what this show is about. It really is about you taking the time to have some conversations with yourself to figure out what happened along the way. What happened along your journey? What happened that, um, you know, you have allowed certain things to happen? And that is the most important thing is you figuring out your why. Why have you allowed yourself to neglect yourself for so long? Why is your weight, why are you I was 270 pounds at my highest. I really think I know that I was more than that because I ignored the scale for so long. I lost about at least 15, 20 pounds before I even got on the scale to see the 270. So I know that we neglect ourselves, for extended periods of time and we don't even realize it. So I want you to at least start taking a look in the mirror and having these conversations with yourself to say, what is my why? Why am I in the situation that I'm in? Right? Why is my weight what it is? Why do I, overeat? Because it's not really about the food. I know that everybody handles their things in different ways, different situations and different things that have happened to them in different ways. I was eating, right? You might be drinking, you might be smoking, you might be sexing, right? You might be trying to get attention from whoever. Right, we all handle things in different ways. Some people just work, right? Just work, work, work. That's what a lot of the men do. They just work, they go to work, they stay at work. Oh, I gotta go to work. Oh, nope, not dealing with that. Gotta go to work. We working, 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 working. And at the same time, you're neglecting yourself, you're neglecting these numbers, and you are, killing yourself slowly. And so that's what I realized is that I was killing myself very slowly. And so once I realized that, you have a decision to make, right? You have a decision to make at that period of time. What are you going to do? Do you want to continue to um I had a decision to make. Did I want to continue to allow my body and myself and my mind and my spirit to be, overtaken by this subconscious thing that happened to me years ago? Because that is exactly how the subconscious mind works, y'all. It's not something that just is bluntly in your face, right? When I was at that stuck conference, I did not realize that that was the reason for my weight. And at that point in period of time, I was in my 40s. That happened early in my 20s, right? I was like 20, 21 years old when that happened to me. And so I had just pressed it. I call it in the pit of my belly. I just pushed it down, in the pit of my belly. And where do most of us carry our weight? You carry your weight in your belly. So I'm asking you today to kind of look at some things. What are some things that you are carrying around? Why are you neglecting yourself? Are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to make a difference? Are you ready to do something different? And I hear somebody out there saying, I am ready. I am. And I've tried and I've done this and I've done that. But what I know for sure is that you can get on a scale, you can go to the gym, you can, you can say you're going to stop drinking, you can say you're going to stop smoking, you can say you're going to stop eating. But until you get to the point where you're ready to look in the mirror and deal with some of those subconscious things, those things that are kind of painful, right? Those things in life that may be very uncomfortable to look at, until you're ready to do that, those things are just going to repeat. The cycle's going to repeat again, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever. The cycle is going to repeat. And that's why it's repeating, because you haven't really dealt with what it is that you need to deal with. So we need to know our numbers to know where we are to start. And I'm sorry, my technology is not working right. I'll give you the numbers next week. But the more important conversation and one I wanted to dive into after I gave you the numbers was just this: knowing, why are your numbers even that way from the beginning, right? How did you get there? What is your journey and what does your story look like? So, what are some things that you can do? One thing that you can do is, it is a book that I use. Is called Mirror Work. It was introduced to me after I started fasting back in 2019. I started doing very, very intentional extended fast. After I thought I was going to pass away, y'all. And so I really thought I was very sick and I thought I was going to pass away. And I started talking to God and I said, Lord, I know that my life, this is not all. I know that this is not all that's left. I know that you have more for me to do. I'm sorry that I've been wasting time, right? I feel like we take time and we take life for granted. And so I said, Lord, if you just, show me what you need me to do, just, lead me, guide me. I just put my hands up and I just surrendered. And he started showing me, he started leading me to groups. So I started fasting. Fasting is one of the quickest ways that you can get to healing. That is not something that I've heard. That is something that I know for sure. I did a 21-day water fast, y'all. I did not eat or drink anything for 3 days. And then for the remaining 18 days, um, water only. Now, this is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor or whatever before you do, or let the spirit lead you, or whatever that you need to do. But that's what the spirit led me to do. And it was the most amazing transformation that I've ever had in my life. Things never got more clear. What God's design for my life and everything that came got just very, very, very clear. I started having all these amazing ideas. Guilt free. Reflections choosing me guilt free was birthed out of that time frame. The next thing that I did was I started getting into very intentional healing groups, things that I knew and places that I knew that would shift my mindset because I was just stuck in this funk, of anger, of bitterness, of grief, right? And so clearing my mindset, getting to know myself a little bit better. And so I did Louise Hay is you can buy the book on Amazon. It's a 28-day, I think, um, lesson book where it gives you things on a day-to-day basis to reflect and to look at, just to look in the mirror and look at yourself and how to shift your mindset in your day-to-day. It puts you in a space of gratitude also. That's another thing that you can do is instead of looking at all the negative things that have happened in your life, waking up and finding three things that you can look at and just naming them every day. What are three things when you wake up in the morning? Just start your day off, shifting your mindset. Lord, what can I be grateful for today? And then at the end of the day, doing the exact same thing. Lord, what can I be grateful for today? Right? What happened today that I could be grateful for? Journaling is another thing that you can do. Journaling is something that is very underrated and just so therapeutic. Whether you are a writer or like me, sometimes because I didn't have time or I was too tired to write it down, I started using my voice recorder on my phone and I will record my day. That's how I came up with some of the things that are the stories that are in my book, that just from my recordings of what I was going through and what I was feeling and how Lord was healing me from different relationships and just different things that had me bound. And so there are also very underrated, and of course, something that is becoming more prevalent is therapy, y'all. Therapy. Therapy has helped me tremendously. Now, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years, but I was very much sleeping on therapy. I was sleeping on therapy. I just was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, it's not that bad. But don't knock it until you try it. You will be amazed at what having a non biased conversation with someone that is equipped to give you the tools that you need when you don't have any tools in your tool chest, right? You just try to make it. You're giving and giving out and pouring out to everyone else, but who is pouring into you? And so that is the biggest thing to remember is that there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in knowing that you need some help and knowing what you need, God to provide for you. And the other part of it is that knowing that God has trained these people and God has sent people to you to help you. So that's where we at, family. That's where we at. We're getting to know ourselves, having these necessary but comfortable uncomfortable conversations with ourselves. And we'll be back next week. We'll be back next week, family. All right. Y'all have a good one.
Well, family, this has been another divine intervention. Thank you for tuning in to Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free with your girl, Miss Michelle D.I. Every week, we will have the uncomfortable but necessary conversations as it relates to your mind, your body, your spirit, and emotions. You've suffered long enough. It's time to break free. So join me every Monday at 1 p.m. right here on KGLD Radio, where you can fill your spirit with gospel all day long. See you next week.